And welcome back. Let's go ahead and continue on with the second learning objective associated with this module. And we're looking at issuing stock and repurchasing stock. Happens all the time. We go out there and we need to raise some funds, so we sell some stock. We go ahead and we buy it back. We talked about reasons to buy back stock in a previous module. So if we issue stock, we're getting it cash in exchange for the stock. We get stockholder proceeds and the equity section rises, and so does cash. The key here to know is once we sell the stock, when the stock increases in price, we don't necessarily benefit directly. When it decreases in price, we don't necessarily lose. Stockholders are the folks that are going to make out once the stock is out issued and outstanding and in use. If the stock has a par value, the account increases the number of shares sold multiplied by that par value. So $1 par stock, we sell 1 million shares, $1 million goes into common stock. What happens if we sell it for $10 million? We get $9 extra in additional paid-in capital. This APIC is where the remainder pops in and goes. So we can see here, $100,000. We had 1,000 shares going out, and we had $100 a share. We had common stock changing by the par value, additional paid-in capital changing by all the rest. Stock repurchase. What happens? Well, we said treasury stock was a negative or a contra account that offsets equity. So if they bought, say, in this case, 200 shares at $90 a share, there's $18,000 of cash going out the door to get $18,000 worth of treasury stock. The whole balance goes in and there. We can resell that stock eventually or reissue it ourselves internally. It's nice to have interpretations and understanding by reading the footnotes. So what happens when they issue? At the end, they repurchase so many shares, average purchase price, and they were owned by J&J, but they do not have voting rights and they do not pay dividends. So you can't buy the stock back and say, oh, well, if I buy 50% of my company, the company gets to vote its own board of directors, or we get to vote. No, that's not, it's the stockholders. And once the treasury shares come back, they're out of circulation. The remaining shares are what's considered the ownership of the company. And treasury shares can be resold if capital needs to be raised. We said we can resell treasury stock, or we can actually issue more shares. The only catch is issuing more shares dilutes the ownership interest of our current owners. So we have, looking here, reselling our treasury stock. We do have additional paid-in capital. We recoup the original $18,000 as the treasury stock, but we can't go negative treasury stock. So we sold all the treasury stock for $19,000. Well, we get $18,000 coming back at us, and we have additional paid-in capital to the adjustments. Okay. And then finally, this will be the last slide to see for this particular section. We can retire treasury stock. It'll never be outstanding again. We bought it back, and then we're going to reduce those shares, retire them, and it basically comes out of what's outstanding. And the par value reduces the difference. We do a wash to retain earnings, but bottom line is those stocks are no longer treasury stock. They come out of the pool. So this is that buyback of stock and retirement of stock and how we deal with treasury stock. Hopefully it kind of makes sense and is logical, because companies are buying their own stock and retiring. More likely they're distributing it or reselling it or giving it to their employees as a benefit, or whatever reason they're going to use it. That is the end of this particular segment of segment number 2 for module 8. Thank you for listening, and we'll look forward to seeing you in our next segment.